Among the release of Swarm and the teasing of Arcane and the ramping up of 2XKO, there is a story that popped up that many overlooked. Or at least, it was overlooked in League's community. Because we are not the only ones affected here. In fact, there are a lot of other games that might feel this more than League. Though in League's case specifically, it was responsible for more than one viral video. And of course, I am referring to the fact that not too long ago, the Axis Studios filed for bankruptcy. Which means a whole new chapter of League cinematics was kinda forced onto us. So without further ado, let's dive into what happened here. At the beginning, for a very long time, when it comes to cinematics and trailers, Riot was able to make their own. I mean, do you remember the very first League of Legends cinematic? What a beauty to behold! What a beauty to behold. Man, 2010 was a special time. Especially because later Riot reused this cinematic for bloopers for April Fools. And man, 2010 was a special time, one that didn't age quite that well. Anyway, over time, the quality of their cinematic started ramping up, and in 2013 they released their first cinematic that started going viral. The one called A Twist of Fates. And what's cool is that with this one, Riot also released a behind-the-scenes video, which showed us that this is indeed their in-house project. And ever since that, that's kinda how Riot did their projects. And obviously, that also extended to their champion trailers. These days, it is not too uncommon to outsource editors and animators for pretty trailers. But Riot did it all in-house, and the proof of this is Pyke. If you go through Pyke's in-game animations, by which I really mean the animations that the champion plays when you are playing League of Legends, you may notice that one of them is this. A stab into the ground followed with a slow look up. An animation that is called promo dialogue in the files. Well, it turns out when Riot was making a trailer for Pyke, instead of exporting everything to a different engine and remaking League of Legends for a scene, they just shot the entire trailer directly in League of Legends. And because League doesn't have a custom animation editor, they had to hard bake in Pyke's animations which would be used in the trailer. So right now, when you play Pyke in League of Legends, just know that one of his animations is this, and it is still in the game. What a cool piece of Riot's history that was just frozen there. Anyway, the point is, all of these trailers and promos were directly made by Riot. But the thing is, Riot makes a lot more than just champion trailers or cinematics. They have skin promos and event promos and champion release animations and music videos and teases of all kinds. Well, because all of this at once would be too much to handle for Riot, they had to outsource entire studios to make cinematics for them. I mean, even Fortiche was a studio that was outsourced. First, they made the original Get Jinxed music video, and then they made Arcane. But besides Fortiche, another studio that worked with Riot was Axis Studios, who made quite a few massive cinematics for Riot, but who recently also filed for bankruptcy. Just looking at their portfolio found on ArtStation, you can see that these guys were a big deal. First of all, these guys worked on a lot of Destiny stuff. Whenever Destiny got a big cinematic, the chances were Axis Studios was behind this. The sad truth is that Destiny is kinda lagging behind the industry, which didn't put them into a great position. Now, they were also behind a lot of 343 industry stuff, which mostly means Halo. Now, the sad truth is that Halo is kinda lagging behind the industry now, and that probably didn't help either. But on the other side, they also did quite a few cinematics for Magic the Gathering, and they even worked with Blizzard. These guys are the ones behind the Diablo Immortal cinematic. Now, the sad truth is, Diablo Immortal slammed the pedal a little bit too hard. Jokes aside though, this cinematic was really good. But they are also the ones who remade the original Diablo 2 cinematics for the Diablo 2 remake, which were amazing too. Next, they also made cinematics for Deep Silver, who are responsible for Saints Row, which probably also didn't really help them. And yeah, as you can see, while the quality of their cinematics is amazing, they just kinda unfortunately found themselves among not so great games. With that said, it is important to note, I doubt the success of a game would impact the standing of the studio. They should get paid for the cinematics regardless. So this is likely not why the studio got shut down. But regardless, this leaves us with one important thing: their impact on Riot Games. And mainly we are talking about three big things. First of all, what is absolutely wild is that these guys are behind the KDA videos. That's right! How many of you expected that? Especially since we got here from that. And what's crazy is that KDA broke quite a few records with those videos. For example, Popstars got 5 million views in 24 hours, which at that time was the most viewed K-pop debut. Not to mention, they won 5 different music awards, 2 of which were awards for the visuals of the videos. This is an outstanding achievement, which is why it's so sad to see that we likely won't get another KDA video just like these. And that's simply because with the studio being shut down, this style is gone. It can be imitated, but you won't really get one-to-one. But that still means that someone else has to pick up that style. But that's not the only reason why we might be unlikely to get another KDA. I mean, at the end of the day, what really matters is the music. Riot could make a 2D animation for that if they really wanted to. No, it's more that the second album for KDA was kinda met with mixed reviews. But that also brings up the question, why was Heartsteel made by a different studio? Is that somehow related to them shutting down eventually? Anyway, next, Axis Studios also made some cinematics for Valorant. Specifically, the one that was mentioned is the lore cinematic, as they described it themselves, called Duality, which is the one cinematic that confirmed the 2 mirror universes of Valorant. Now the truth is, we don't really know what else Axis Studios worked on regarding Valorant, so we don't know if it was just this one cinematic or if it was all the other cinematics that led up to this one. I'll tell you one thing though, this was the one cinematic that pushed Valorant's lore to a whole new dimension. It was no longer just a bunch of speculations. Now, Valorant got a living, breathing storyline. So once again, it was a massive success on the studio's part. But lastly, there is also one more thing they made. A thing that was universally praised and one that brought up a lot of hype around Riot's MMO. And that, of course, is the Tales of Runeterra series. That's right, Axis Studios made those too, and all of those were absolutely beloved. These were the lore videos that tied the universe of League of Legends, Wild Rift and Legends of Runeterra together, and they refreshed the storylines of all of their regions. From Demacia to the Freljord to Ionia to Bilgewater to Shadow Isles to Piltover to Targon to Noxus especially. That's the one that hyped people about the MMO the most. But really, all of these cinematics were awesome, and they were all excellent at moving the universe forward. But alas, they are gone too. But that might leave us with one simple question. Why? Why would such a good studio not get the jobs to stay afloat? Well, it is possible that because the studio's quality was so high, it was also a bit more expensive. And the thing is, for the big corporations, it is not too difficult to find, let's say, cheaper alternatives. Riot kinda knows this because they have multiple different studios making videos for them. As a great example, meet 2:10 AM Animations. If you've never heard of these guys, and I assume that's gonna be the majority of you, that's because they mostly make animes. But outside of that, they also make cinematics for anime-inspired games, as well as gacha games. So, funnily enough, they make cinematics for all of TFT's gachas, as well as Wild Rift. Or at least, that's what they've been doing up until now. Because recently, they've also dabbled into League of Legends. Because they are the ones who made the teaser for Hui. So in the future, who knows, maybe we should expect more of this style around League's teasers. And that's simply because the big bad dog of animations has left the battlefield. And that's really all I wanted to mention. Right now, we have no idea what this means for League's cinematics in general. We don't know if League is gonna have less cinematics now, but I strongly doubt that's gonna be the case. Since we literally just got a cinematic for Swarm. So I doubt Riot wouldn't be able to figure out how to tackle this. Not to mention, Riot also acquired a part of Fortige so they can use them as their own animation studio. Which totally means after Arcane 2 is done, they are totally taking over.